Okay. Well, hello.
Hello.
Hi there, and I'm James Paige, and I'm here to interview you, Mahlena-Rae Johnson.
That's right. I will say what I do. I'm Mahlena-Rae Johnson, the only presentation coach for introverted CEOs with stage fright. I teach you how to feel the fear and speak anyway. And what do you do, James Paige?
That's wonderful. I do various things, but I am an author of fantasy novels, which I have a lot of fun
Yay.
with.
Okay, let's see. I don't know if it's immersive. No, not immersive. Okay. Or gallery? There's only two of us. Okay, yeah, that works too. So
Yes,
everybody can see both of us at the same time. Okay,
yes,
great. And we are going to do an interview of me today per my request of James Page.
yes. This is a good request, and this is, of course, because of your new book. Oh, no, it's getting blurred. Wait, if I put it in front of my face, it won't get blurred.
Yes,
Speak
my new book,
anyway.
Speak Anyway. And what's the subtitle?
A public speaking guide for introverted CEOs with stage fright
Great.
by Mahlena-Rae Johnson, which is
That's
you. Shall we
that's
jump into some
me.
questions?
Yes, you can jump in.
Okay, great. All right, let me find my questions here. Okay, well, I was going to ask you who are you, but you just told us who are you. So, how about in exactly 4 words? What is your new book about? I'm just kidding. You can use any number of words that you would like.
No, I like the challenge.
Okay. Or we'll just pause the recording when you figured out the 4 words and we'll resume.
We don't have to pause. Uh, yeah. Helping CEOs find superpowers.
Oh, that's 4 words. And that sounds like a very apt description of the book. Wonderful. Helping CEOs find superpowers.
Yes.
All right. Now, we'll just, uh, what is one thing people don't generally know about you?
One thing people generally don't know about me, it really depends on the person because as I have told other people recently, I was coaching someone whom I have known for 5 years, and she didn't know that I had an MBA, much less from the University of Southern California. So I forget that even though you may know me from in person or a certain length of time. Not everybody knows everything about me. So, one thing that I will share that I got to really reflect on this past week when I went to San Juan, Puerto Rico, is that I grew up in St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, which is next to Puerto Rico. And also not really knowing at the time how small it was. St. Thomas has 50,000 people. The US Virgin Islands have 100,000 people in total. That's less than Iceland, which has, I'm not sure. I mean, you all could look that up, but yeah, it is a really small place. It's also cosmopolitan and in multicultural and international. So that really affected who I am and how I am now,
Mhm.
particularly as I got to speak my second language, Spanish, which I'm still not fluent in when I went to Puerto Rico um, earlier this month, but uh, added to my appreciation of not just American culture, although it is very Americanized,
Yeah.
but appreciation for growing up in a multicultural environment with many different types of people, like I also get to do here in Canada, in the suburbs of Toronto.
Very good. All right, little follow-up question to that. So, uh, I know you fairly well. So, what is one thing that I specifically don't know about you?
Well, let's see. One thing you specifically don't know about me. Did I tell you my Pico de Gallo story? Or do you
I
remember it?
I don't think I've heard the Pico de Gallo story, and I certainly don't remember it.
Okay, well, I grew up loving tomatoes and still get surprised when other people tell me that they don't like tomatoes. And it wasn't until I went to college at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles that I discovered pico de gallo. And because we did not have a Mexican American influence growing up in St. Thomas, so there, and we didn't have we didn't have as robust of an internet as we do in 2024. So
Yes.
right now it's Monday, January 29th, 2024. So when I discovered it, I loved it. And I'm not really into onions, but I like how it all goes together and it goes
Yeah.
on your chip. But it's to me, that reflects what people don't know that they don't know. So it can be easy to feel, especially as an American, whatever you grew up with is standard. And like like the imperial system, which is so weird that's being used, even though I
Meters,
understand it.
inches.
But when you don't know about something, like not even a concept, and then
Mhm.
you meet it and say, "Oh, I like you, Pico de Gallo," you start to wonder what else
Get in my
other
tummy.
what yes, get in my tummy on this tortilla chip. You start to wonder what other things that you do not know that you would like, that you have a basis for liking just because you haven't been in that environment before. And that
Mm.
affects a lot of how I think about other people when they say they don't like things or they know things for certain. Like that, there's a quote from Men in Black when Tommy Lee Jones says, "We knew certain things were the truth at some point. What things will we know are true tomorrow?" Something
Uh-huh.
like that. Look it up and tell me about it.
In the wise, wise words of Men in Black. All right, so then move on to the next question. Let's see. What are a couple places in the world that you would like to visit? Places you've never been before.
I would like to go to Lisbon in Portugal, which I have told other people about this year because I've heard that it is a good place for Black women to visit, amongst many other places. So
Mhm.
that is my goal for 2024, 2025. And uh, eventually, I would like to go to Australia to see the kangaroos and koalas in person.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
longer flight than to Lisbon,
Yes,
and
quite
I
a
would go
bit.
to a metropolitan area, probably Sydney, or and another place in Australia that has metropolitan uh, amenities with day trips to the the wilderness.
You
So
want to
those are
right across the desert in a jeep
yeah.
for 3 days straight.
Yeah, that's not my ideal ideal of adventure as I am an indoorsy person. But those are two places that I would like to go. If other people would like to suggest places and invite me to hang out, then please do so.
Right, send invitations. Yay. All right. So, um, uh, could you describe to me a typical moment or two from your creative process as an author?
A typical moment from my creative process is thinking up an idea, writing it down, and then not having enough time to do it at that moment, or having just enough time to write a bunch of ideas down and then write it in my files and then just let it sit there. So one of the things that I did um, when I forgot when I was what the actual inspiration for this was. I started a idea for a series of books. It might have
Mhm.
been at the time about being a part of the PTA in Los Angeles.
I
And I
remember
had
you
this
telling me about that.
yes, they did. And they're all these different characters and adventures that they got in over a number of years as their children grew up. And then so I probably started it in 2016 and then the 2016 election happened and I told you, James Paige, that I would like to move on our Canada plan now. And you said,
Mhm.
okay. So then I scrapped that idea. Well, I didn't say, I'm not going to do this. It was just more stuff that I was focused on. And then I got an idea for my fourth book called Love It a Luau after learning about what what happened with Lewis Tan and Iron Fist, and I was inspired to write a romance novel with uh romantic leads of Asian descent. So I did, and I could do
Mhm.
that without having to go into this big ensemble cast like Nashville or Gosford Park. It was pretty simple. And then uh the year I published that book, we moved from Los Angeles to Toronto. So then I didn't
Right.
go back to it. And it was in a notebook of things that I wanted to do and just didn't have time to expand upon. And then in 2021, most likely, I met through one of my writing classes a woman who works in the entertainment industry and talked about how her father was the president of an HBCU. And I said, which one? And she said, Morehouse. And then I reflected on the
Mhm.
fact that I had grown up on the campuses of HBCUs as the daughter of a professor, and how that is a unique experience. Not that I'm the only one who has done that, obviously, because there's lots of professors and lots of HBCUs, but it's something I hadn't seen. Even in a different world, there wasn't really that much reflection of what it's like to be the child of someone who works on the campus of an HBCU. So I started developing that idea, and that's also mixed in with another idea, a script that I actually wrote called Lenny the American, and all those characters are now in a new book that I hope to write this year called Happy Mother. It is a Twilight Zone for parenthood, the horrors of raising children, particularly as a mother. So my creative process can be immediate, and I just go forward with that idea, like I did with Ellie's, the sixth script that I wrote during the pandemic, which also became my fifth book, which is available on Amazon. Or it can just take, oh, yes, there's my book, Ellie's. I also pitched that at the Toronto International Film Festival in September last year. So um, it can be immediate or it can take years, and I can revisit other ideas and make them into other things that make sense for me now. I like to be excited about my creative process, however it comes out in whatever format that it ends up becoming.
Oh, that is wonderful. Thank you. All right. So next question. If you could invite any person alive or dead to a dinner party, who would you invite?
Well, I don't really like to host dinner parties because that's a lot of work, but I would like to uh, take Maya Angelou to lunch at, if we could go anywhere, Mendocino Farms, because I
Okay, so
like
you want to
that.
take Maya Angelou to Mendocino Farms.
Yes, the one nearest to the Grove.
Nearest to the Grove in Los Angeles. Okay, I know just the
Yes.
one you mean. Now I have a little follow-up question to that. If you invited your guest Maya Angelou to the Grove, and she could bring a plus one, what's the worst possible person she could invite?
I mean, uh, uh, anyone who uh who went through the Republican Iowa primary this
Okay.
past year.
The chances of her inviting them is fairly low, so that probably won't happen.
I mean, yeah, she's also not alive, but still.
Oh, hypothetical plus ones notwithstanding. Let's move on to the next question. What is your current TV obsession? What are you
My
watching?
current TV obsession is The Lincoln Lawyer, which is on Netflix. I read about it probably from a Instagram post from Fierce by Me Too or We Are Me Too or something from Me Too. and mentioning that there's this woman who is going to be the main character's mother, and she has like she has a incredible repertoire, a body of work on herself. She's really slumming it as the Lincoln lawyer. Um, but she hasn't made it to the part where I'm at in the series right now. So I'm on
Mhm.
season 2. She still hasn't uh arrived yet. But I downloaded it into my Netflix downloads months ago and just didn't have a chance to watch it because I was watching other stuff like Survival of the Fittest and Love is Blind Brazil. And
Mhm.
then when I was getting my hair braided earlier this month, I had time to watch it, and I could watch it silently because there's subtitles, and I really liked the first episode. And now I had been watching the rest of the season in Spanish to help prepare me for going to Puerto Rico. And now I am watching it in French, which really shows how good my Spanish is and how good my French can be. But so I have to go back and review stuff in 3 different languages to make sure that I got all the jokes, even though
Oh,
it's a
very good.
drama.
You can't miss those jokes. All right. So I happen to know that sometimes you dream about going to events with buffets. What is the best food you've eaten in a dream recently?
Well, they aren't good because I can't taste the food, but I do like when there
Okay,
is.
next question.
Well, I'm trying to still answer.
No, no, no,
I
I'm
do
still
like when
listening.
there's.
We're still here.
I do still like dessert buffets. I, I don't now after the pandemic, I don't like them. So I just like at the Cheesecake Factory when they have a whole display of all the cakes, so it's easier to see what type you
Mhm.
would like instead of just looking at the menu and
So much better
deciding
than a
from
menu.
the titles because they don't have further descriptions of the cakes available um in that big list, but you can see a better description. I mean, if you go online, you could probably see each one and you can actually see them in the case. So if there, I would rather have a big selection of cakes than to just have them in a buffet because the sneeze guard is not completely protective, at least not enough
Yes.
for me.
All right. Um, as a six-time author, I assume that Speak Anyway isn't going to be your last book. Do you want to drop any hints for people about what your next book will be about?
Well, hopefully it will be A Happy Mother, the book that I was just describing
Yes.
before, which is, as I mentioned, the Twilight Zone for motherhood. It's about the difficulties of being a parent, not only at every level of parenthood. So from conception and actually before conception, trying to conceive a child, all the way up to having an adult child who
Mhm.
is still in a contentious relationship with you. So anybody who has been a parent or knows a parent or has a parent will be able to relate to um, the challenges, especially for mothers specifically. Um, uh, that we go through in not only dealing with our children, but dealing with the world um, and the influence that they have on both us and the rest of our family.
Mhm. Now, like the Twilight Zone is an anthology, is this a collection of short stories, or is that is that secret?
Oh, it's not a secret. It's a collection of short stories
Oh, this
that
is a collection. Okay, so it is an
it's
anthology format similar to Twilight Zone.
yes, it's I forgot how I wanted to describe it, but it's a book that it has a through line. So it's not just like all these stories are put out. It's like the Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. So it
Mm.
starts off with a an introductory story about what the main character that you're first introduced to is going to go throughout the time that the stories get told by other people throughout the book, and then it
Hmm.
ends completing the first story that was being told. So it takes place at a Saturday brunch between organizations from two schools in the area, and they each of each of the people, each of the families at the brunch have mother figures in them, and each of the mother figures tell their particular story about um, a time that motherhood was challenging to them. And then it ends by by the time night falls, and then everyone goes home.
Okay, wonderful. So I see how that ties together. All right. So when can people expect to buy Speak Anyway? When is
Speak
it?
Speak Anyway is available for pre-order now. So again, it's right now it's Monday, January 29th, 2024, but it will be available for you to read on Thursday, February 15th, 2024. So
Thursday,
anytime
February
that
15th.
you're watching this video, you can order it, and then eventually you'll be able to read it.
Okay, order it now, read it soon.
Yes, it's available an ebook on Amazon, um, uh, Google Play, and a Barnes& and Noble Nook, and it will also be available in paperback on Amazon.
Excellent. Right. Do you have any final thoughts before we say farewell?
Well,
Adieu.
you could talk about how you helped create the paperback and why.
Oh, I did help. Well, yes, I did help format the paperback of Speak Anyway, because that is a thing that I enjoy doing. I format my own books, and I was excited to see your book, not just in ebook format, but also in paper format. So
Yes, great. And where can people connect with you, James Page, to get all your stuff?
people can people can search for James Robert Page, and I will be the one who is advertising books.
Well, where can they get your books?
On Amazon and various ebook readers, and I have one audiobook which is available in Spotify and a bunch of other places where audiobooks are sold.
Great. And for my latest book, Speak Anyway, you can go to bit.ly/order Speak Anyway, and that'll take you to the page. And if you want to connect with me, you can Google the first part of my first name. Very easy to find, but ideally connect with me on LinkedIn because that is the platform that I'm focused on now, as my ideal clients are introverted ed tech CEOs who have a big presentation coming up and want to work through their stage fright.
Very good. So bit.ly/order speak anyway. And
Yes.
we'll put that up on the screen. We're going to add that in post, right?
We're not gonna add it in post.
We're not going to add it. Okay, we're not going to add it in post.
Yeah, I prefer when I don't have to edit anything. So maybe you'll find it in the comments or in
Yes,
the
in the
in
comments.
the
It's down there in the
description,
comments.
or just Google my name and then you'll find something.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you very much, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today, James Page. Did you mention that we're married?
Yes. Oh no, I don't think I mentioned that. We are married. This is my wife. I am her husband. She's wonderful.
I am.
It's true. All right. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.